Okay, let us go back to visit with Vance and Dave at Salmon Beach. And I'm going to start where we left off for part 2. The treasure at Salmon Beach. The trees along the cliffs stood like shrouded zombies, forever staring out to sea. A shiver started at Vance's toes and rushed up his legs and shook his body with its teeth-chattering rattle. They drove about 2 miles before they found themselves on a stretch of beach clear of fog. They stopped and looked around. There stood the 6 boulders. Everything was exactly as Vance saw it in his dream. They got out of the buggy and Dave tied Diamond to a huge piece of driftwood. As they got the shovels out of the buggy, the fog began to roll in from the sea. Vance struck a match and lit the storm lantern. In its dim glow, they walked carefully down the row of boulders towards the roaring waves. There is the small boulder, Vance exclaimed. The usually well-behaved Diamond pawed the sand, pranced about, and neighed loudly. Vance put his finger to his lips and shook his head at Dave. He peered at his watch. In the glow of the lantern, it was 1 hour to midnight. He gestured to his watch and made digging motions. Dave nodded his head in understanding. They began to dig in the soggy sand. Hissing and gurgling, it gave way to his efforts. The hole in the sand got deeper and deeper as they worked. In no time at all, it was 4 feet deep, but there was still no sign of a treasure. Vance got down into the hole and began to dig also. The sea surged around them. Salt spray slashed at their faces. Water began to fill the hole. Soon it was above their knees. Vance crawled out of the hole and Dave followed him. Vance held the lantern down over the crumbling edge. The water was rising fast. Dave left Vance at the side of the hole and went over and got a pail he had brought along to feed Diamond his oats in. They returned to the hole and began to bail the water out of it. He worked until he was too tired to lift another pail of water. He crawled out and gave the pail to Vance. After about 10 minutes of bailing, Vance had the water down to about 5 inches. He made signs to Dave to hand him the shovel. As he worked, Dave held the lantern so that Vance could see what he was doing. Suddenly, lightning zigzagged across the sky and thunder roared in their ears. Balls of fire danced on the breaking waves. Dave jumped down into the hole and took the shovel from Vance. Vance climbed out and held the lantern. Dave pushed the shovel into the water and sand at his feet. The shovel struck something hard. His thoughts raced. Was it the treasure or just a boulder hidden beneath the sand? He kept digging, and his efforts revealed a large chest. He looked up to sign at Vance that the shovel had struck something, but Vance was not there. Instead, he was being carried out to sea by a monster wave. Dave opened his mouth to yell, but remembered that he must not speak. He struggled out of the hole and began to run after Vance's disappearing form. Suddenly, he found himself back at the hole with Vance standing beside him. He shivered with fear, but he wanted that treasure. He pointed to the partly uncovered chest and gestured, "I will lift the chest up to you." The chest was very heavy, and they struggled for several minutes before they got it up over the edge of the hole and onto the firm sand. Dave climbed out and dug into his pocket for the silver dollar he had brought with him. He knelt beside the chest and used the shovel to pry open the lid. The gold and diamonds glistened in the yellow glow of the lantern's light. Just as he was to drop the silver coins into the treasure, Diamond bolted for the open sea, dragging the driftwood that he was tied to. The buggy rolled over and over as it broke away from Diamond's flying heels. Vance made 3 running steps towards the terrified horse and yelled, "Whoa! Whoa, Diamond!" With a crash of thunder and rattle of chains, the chest with its treasure vanished. Only a hole in the sand, fast filling with water, remained, the only evidence that they had found and lost the treasure at Salmon Beach. The end. Thank you for visiting my website or my channel and visiting me on G+, and for all your subscriptions and support. Love you all. Hope you enjoyed this, and do subscribe and keep coming to visit me. I love every visit. Good night for now.